Maybe you don't have the words for what's happening. Maybe you're watching it happen to someone that you love. You just are seeing it and you know that something's wrong. Maybe it's how they laugh when you cry, or how your joy seems to make them angry. Maybe it's that eerie feeling that you're disappearing inside the relationship. You can't quite name it, and you don't have a label for it. You just know that it is not love. Whether you're in it, witnessing it, recovering from it, or just trying to figure out what's going on, this special episode about narcissistic abuse is for you. If you've ever walked away from a conversation and you just feel off balanced, you're just questioning what just happened there, or you carry a strange weight of shame that you just can't explain. If someone in your life said they loved you, but then everything you do seems to bother them, your tears are always just too much to handle, or your silence is being punished, let me tell you, you're not imagining it. You don't have to know the name for it yet. You don't need a checklist or a diagnosis. But if your heart is whispering something's not right, I hope you'll stay for the rest of this episode. You know, some relationships don't feel like cages at first. They may feel intense, romantic, even like you finally met someone who truly sees you. And then slowly, the ground starts to shift. You start second guessing what's going on. You find that you're unclear about your memories, your feelings, your choices. And then you start editing yourself, not out loud, but in the quiet corners of your day. You pause before you speak, soften your opinions, and even tuck away your joy. Not because they asked you to, but you know from experience what happens if you don't. Somehow, you've come to believe that their moods are yours to manage, and that having peace in the relationship depends on your silence, your cooperation. You kind of feel like your confidence is, if you feel like you have any left, is just too much for them to handle. And that the relationship is coming with strings attached to it. Now, you may have tried to explain it to someone else and they've said, oh, but he's so nice. He's so nice. She's so nice. You may have tried to write down what's happening, but you can't find the right words. That's the case, even though you're living it, have lived it, or you're watching it happen. You may have even told yourself, I guess I'm just overthinking everything. Maybe you think that something's wrong with you. Let me say this, there's nothing wrong with you, and you haven't imagined anything. There's a kind of emotional control that's almost invisible. It doesn't necessarily shout. It can charm. It can apologize. But it makes you feel like you're the problem. You're the offender. But you know what it doesn't do? And this may be hard to hear. It doesn't love. In my book, Undercurrent, there's a woman named Annie. She doesn't start out knowing that she's living in a cage. She starts out believing that she's deeply loved. But that love in her marriage keeps making her feel smaller and smaller. And the rules in the relationship keep changing. And the man who claimed to adore her, he starts to punish her. Punishes her for making her own decisions, for being happy about something that doesn't involve him, for existing outside of his orbit. If you've ever felt anything like that, you need to know that you are not alone, because I fear too many people do believe that they're the only ones. You don't need someone else to validate your experience, although that's what I try to do here. If something feels wrong, you're allowed to say it out loud. You're allowed to ask yourself, why am I losing myself in this relationship? Why am I trying to prove that I'm lovable and worthy of love? You might ask, why do I feel like I owe the narcissist peace even when I'm just torn to pieces inside? Let me tell you, those aren't silly questions at all. They are the beginning of your freedom. If this resonates with you, I invite you to explore more on this channel. You don't have to have all the answers right now. You just have to know that your story matters, your truth matters, and you are not alone. You don't have to name it today, but if somewhere your spirit whispered to you, that's me, then I hope you'll keep listening, because the Are You Annie podcast, we're a community, and I'd like to think we support each other. And if you read the comments, you'll see that. I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, the host of the Are You Annie podcast. And Annie I referred to, she's much more than a character in the book. She's a symbol of every man and every woman who has ever been silenced, dismissed, betrayed, or just experienced narcissistic abuse. It's because of Annie that this podcast exists, and it's because of you that it continues. As always, I want you to remember that you are stronger than you ever knew. You are a warrior against narcissistic abuse, and I want you to be tenacious and never, ever give up on what's important to you. Until next time, please take care. I appreciate you and I honor your truth. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you again for being here.